Today I'm flying on board the brand new ANA first class suites, with tickets nudging a mind-blowing $15,000. What is it really like? The suite was launched just before the beginning of the pandemic and only operated on a small amount of ANA's 777 aircraft. Not forgetting that entry to Japan has been highly restricted for the last 18 months. This is a rare insight into the world's newest first class offering. Oh, and thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Come with me and experience the intimate 8-seat cabin, 7-course Japanese menu, $2,000 bottle of whiskey, $500 bottle of champagne. Oh, and what it's like to have it all to myself. In fact, today I have almost the entire aircraft to myself, with just 11 other passengers on board.
Inspiration of Japan.
What is up, and welcome back to the channel. You join me today at Heathrow Terminal 2, where we're going to be doing a pretty different flight. We're going to be flying over to Japan on ANA first class. Anyway, there's now going to be a load of hurdles to jump through in order to get me on this flight. I've got all the documentation. Let's go check in and hope that there's no issues. Let's go. Certainly a strange process. Now, let's check out the situation with this flight. So I'm NH12 and I've got to go over to D, which looks like it's just over there. It's going to be very confusing because my flight is not normal whatsoever. You actually need to go to this document station here in order to get approved to then go and check in. You can't check in online for these sort of flights because entry to Japan is obviously very restricted.
Much later.
Right, so all checked in. That was a pretty interesting process. To give you guys a bit of background of how complicated this is, my flight route is basically London to Frankfurt via Tokyo, as you do. So it obviously caused a lot of issues. Let's go through security and go and find out what it's like.
Interestingly, there's no separate fast track security open for first class. Thankfully, tonight this doesn't matter.
But it's certainly a very quiet security this evening. I better put the camera away. Catch you guys in just a second. Right guys, all through security, nice and quick. In fact, at Heathrow now they've changed it so that you can leave all your liquids and electronics in your bag, which speeds up the entire process. Anyway, the lounge, most importantly. We're now going to be heading over to the Lufthansa lounge. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. Perfect, thank you so much. Here we go. Let's go see what delights the Lufthansa lounge can offer. I guess most of your questions are probably why I'm not drinking any booze and why I'm not eating. Let me explain. So my rationale behind literally just having a Diet Coke in the lounge where there is actually some half decent food on offer is because of what I'm going to be flying. ANA happens to offer in their first class, I am told, one of the very best onboard cuisines. I get a choice of a Western menu, a Japanese menu, copious amounts of Krug, copious amounts of Hibiki 21.
Make it Centauri time.
So, given all of that, I think I will stick to a Diet Coke and then pig out on board. So here's the thing about our gate today, B48, which unfortunately is an absolute trek away. It's the other side of the runway, and I've been told it's about a 15-minute walk. I think it's the same one that I went for when I was flying on Gulf Air and on Emirates as well. So let's start the trek. This is my gate. I can count 7 people. Surely it's not that quiet.
Spoiler, and rather upsettingly, it is. It blows my mind the impact that this pandemic has had on some of these routes. The 777-300 we're flying today can carry well over 300 passengers, yet today just 11 people are flying on this near 6,000 mile route over to Tokyo. Before getting on board, it's mandatory to sanitize your hands. This is a great thing to see, and I've actually only seen one other airline enforce this, which was Aeroflot.
Right guys, let's go get on board. I'm group 4, which is interesting. I would have thought it'd be group 1, but I assume it just boards from the back perhaps. Anyway, let's go and see what this is like. ANA first class.
Just before we get on board, here's a quick word from today's video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace make it super easy for you to set up and host a website. This isn't the 1990s where you have to know complex coding. Squarespace really have this dialed. They can handle it all from the domain name through to the design, hosting, social media linking, and even your search engine optimization. The best bet is Squarespace are offering you a free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Just head over to squarespace.com/TrekTrendy and use coupon code TrekTrendy. Thanks again Squarespace for making this video possible. Let's walk past ANA's incredible new business class, full review of this coming next week. And you enter the exclusive brand new ANA first class cabin. My word, these suites are even more impressive in person. Let's get my luggage stowed and settle into my suite 1K.
Right guys, so welcome on board, and I seem to be the only passenger in first class, and when I say the only passenger, I genuinely mean the only passenger. Goodness me. I've been served some delicious champagne, so cheers. Whilst I get myself settled into my seat, the first thing I can't help but notice is this. Now, to give you a bit of scale, it's literally the width of the seat. It is by far the largest in-flight TV I have ever seen, and it's bigger than the Emirates Game Changer 777 one.
Before I get carried away comparing size, it's what you do with it after all.
Oh God, please no!
I'm offered a selection of pre-flight amenities. Bear in mind this is in addition to the fully stocked Globetrotter amenity kit provided.
What would you recommend? Everything.
So I went for flight socks, ANA pillow spray, and I quote, a leg refreshing sheet. It's not long before we begin to push back, so I get comfortable, put my seatbelt on, and the safety video is screened. Of course, this is complemented by another glass of champagne. Bear in mind they don't serve the coveted Krug on the ground. We shall wait until we're airborne to crack that one open. As we take off into a for once beautiful London evening, I marvel that the next time we touch down will be in 12 hours, 6,000 miles, and large quantities of hibiki later. As we level out, it's time to kick off my trainers, sneakers to my American friends, and get those ANA slippers on. Much better. Now I'm starved. Let's get that menu out and check out what's on offer this evening. The menu is extensive and divided into two sections. One is Japanese and the other is Western. Of course, I'm going for Japanese today. I'm offered a wet wipe, shame they don't provide warm towels like Air France. After appropriately moist hands, it's time for Krug, interestingly served in a small bottle. I wonder as this is because it's just me in first class today. And the taste? It's utterly delicious. I thought it had notes of vanilla, but an official description says it's an explosion of complex hazelnut, oranges and honey aromas. Guess I'm no sommelier. This is complemented by an array of amuse-bouche, including pickled strawberry, crab and salmon roe tart. Nice. Next, my table is set, ready to begin. I opted to hop back to the Western menu exclusively for the caviar service. The caviar was delicious and served with the appropriate bellinis, creme fraiche, chopped onions and egg yolk. However, I felt the portion size was minuscule when you compare this to the likes of, say, Emirates or Etihad. After my caviar, let's jump straight back into the Japanese cuisine. Sea urchin, edamame, Japanese omelette, and pickled lotus root. It was fabulous and quite the experience. After another top up of Krug later, I think I'm onto the second bottle now, it's sashimi time. Basically raw fish served with soy sauce and wasabi. Again, this was wonderfully fresh, tasty, yet light and left me wanting more. As if this isn't enough, I move on to shusai, essentially my main course. This is grilled yellowtail served with steamed rice, miso soup and Japanese pickles. As with all my dishes, this was presented beautifully and tasted wonderful. And now it's time for what you've all been waiting for, the hibiki, one of the most exclusive and expensive drinks you can have in the sky. At around $2,000 a bottle, Hibiki 21 is incredibly rare, with only a handful of bottles left in the world. I thoroughly enjoyed a good couple of glasses alongside my chocolate souffle. After dinner, I figured it's time to change into my PJs and do a loo review. There are 2 loos at the front of the first cabin. They're not the largest but are super clean and well stocked with the Ginza amenities. I change into the provided PJs. PJs, which came up pretty small. These are a large for reference. After freshening up ready for bed, it's time to return to my seat. I feel it's time for some rest. One of the FAs has already made the seat behind me into a bed. I have the luxury today, of course, to sleep in any of the 8 suites. The bed is huge, it's among the widest I've experienced, and shutting the doors allows you a serene and private space to relax and sleep in. Night all, I'll catch you in the morning.
The next day.
After sleeping for a good 8 hours, we're about 20 minutes outside of Tokyo. Before landing, I thought I'd show you the other suites on board and my preference. If travelling as a couple, the divider in between the suites comes down, offering a great social space. Overall, it's an intimate cabin, and aside from Air France, one of the lowest density Fs offering great space and privacy. Saying that though, I would have to pick 1A or 1K as my preference. I change back into my clothes, which have been folded and stored in my wardrobe by the lovely FA. The approach into Tokyo today is pretty hazy, and unfortunately I can't see that clear over the city. Upon landing and pulling up to the stand, I noticed something I've never realised before. The aircrew bow to arriving and departing aircraft. What an amazing and respectful touch. Japan, you are incredible. Leaving the aircraft, I feel refreshed, still full and happy after flying perhaps the world's best first class product.
Well guys, it is a welcome to Tokyo, Japan. Goodness me, that was a absolutely unbelievable flight. Up there is one of my best, but you can see over here the aircraft that we've just come over from London on, the 777-300ER. Wow, honestly guys, what an unbelievable time. Now I've got a bit of fun in Tokyo, but you'll have to check out my video where I fly on ANA's The Room to experience what happens there. Thanks for joining guys, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys all again very soon.
Thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/trektrendy to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.